are live. I'm joined by Manny, Kiefer, and OU. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey, man.
Howdy.
So when people watch this, we'll actually know who the president is. But as of this moment, we don't. But it seems like the election has absorbed American culture entirely over the past few days. And instead of just, taking dumps on both candidates, which I think they definitely deserve, I thought it would be cooler to look at the marketing campaigns between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this article, but it came out a little while ago that Joe Biden had to pay $8 million more than Donald Trump to reach the same amount of people. Biden and his team were very angry at that and, got mad at Facebook over it. And I think it's one of the first times that the details of performance ad buying have really reached the public mainstream. Because I read one article and it was like, it seems like Facebook's pricing was very different depending on what they served. And I'm like, yeah, it's almost like that's the model. Mm-hmm. And I have on my screen some ads from Donald Trump. I have on my screen some ads from Joe Biden. Check these out. Mm-hmm. It says, help me out. Literally.
Oh, wow.
Help me out.
Okay. Any video ads?
Yeah, there's some video ads, and we'll get into it. Now, RSVP now. Right? RSVP now. RSVP makes you feel like you're a part of something. Help me out is literally begging.
It's begging.
It's begging. And it's super interesting to see how this was reflected in the political ad market. Because we as ad buyers know, so like what affects the price of an ad?
I mean, a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables.
Well, let's talk about them.
Oh, you?
I mean, you got your ad copy, creative media, headlines, descriptions. There's a lot of different variables you can play with inside of the ad creation process to change the cost of your CPMs to get people to engage with more.
Exactly. So it's that last part you just said.
CPMs. It all basically.
An engagement rate, right? Like how likely people are to engage with your ad, the cheaper it is. The reason being is Facebook wants to serve content that their users engage with. Very simple.
Yeah. So how much did Donald spend versus Joe in the last 30 days leading up to the election?
Great question. Let me pull that up.
Because then that'll really give us an idea.
I mean, the more you spend, obviously, you're going to get more engagement, more.
So, but you reach a certain point where when you're spending that much, let's say your CPM is half, right? You're going to reach double with the same amount of spend, which means your engagement is going to be way higher. Mm-hmm. So in that instance, Joe Biden could spend more and do less. So it's not just pouring at it. For a lot of it, it is just, can you pour money into it? But on the other side, it's performance. And OU, we've seen this big time, right? We deal with this every day.
And it's not even like performance from like a conversion aspect like you would normally like think about with a brand or a product. It's more like how many people can we show our ads to with this dollar? Yeah. Like how much impact, how much reach is available.
And that reach goes up, the CPM, which means cost per mil, which stands for 1,000 impressions. And for those that don't know, an impression is just an ad loading on a feed, right? So as the engagement rate goes up, the potential reach goes up and the cost goes down. So in those instances, performance will make you reach more people without spending more than the other guy because it's more efficient. Right. So to answer your question, from October 27th to November 2nd, Joe Biden spent $9.1 million. Donald Trump, $5.3 million.
Damn near
almost
double.
half. Yeah, double.
Let's see if we can see.
Damn.
It's too bad they probably don't disclose the reach numbers, but I guess the CPM will tell you a lot.
No, with political ads, they give you a lot of details on what they're spending.
Yeah, they do.
Because they're going to have to disclose that now.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So
No secrets, Manny. We're exposing everything out here.
Yeah. So, I mean, so like with this one, Joe Biden in one ad, he spent about 100,000 and he served less than 1 million ads with $100,000.
So what is that CPM?
Like about 10,
Dude.
right?
It's impressions times. Shoot, I don't know the math.
Yeah,
It's
math
in a
on the-
sheet
yeah,
somewhere.
math on the fly.
I
dog.
know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So
This is
let me
why we
see.
have
I know
Google
the
Sheets.
formula.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah,
the cameras
so-
and the lights. It's getting to
yeah,
me.
I'll just
starstruck right now, dog.
So-
Can't speak.
Spent $100,000.
I'm rattled. We still don't know who the president is.
We have more important things to talk about here.
No.
So that would be
Like ads.
one.
Yo, you can do these strategies like on a local level. Like a governor can use these strategies, like the same ads but different.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's a $10 CPM.
Okay.
Like we way overthought that.
I mean, that's really not. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad in comparison to what we pay
Yeah.
for some,
for
depending
sure,
on the offer,
for
depending
sure.
on what you're running.
Let's take a look.
But that's
at-
only 100,000 out of the 9 million that you bought
Yeah,
with.
but-
that was also his best ad.
But I feel like with $100,000, like I don't know. I feel like we've reached more people. For
Okay.
100
Okay.
grand.
Donald Trump spent $699 on this ad and and served 30,000
Okay.
impressions.
Oh,
Alright,
wow.
so, yeah, his CPMs.
Yeah.
So they're aiming in
Yeah.
the $1 to $5 mark then with
Yeah.
CPMs in that
Right.
market. Gotcha.
Well, you got to remember, there's no conversion action.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, $10 CPM. It's not enough context there to like really, I guess, understand what the value of that.
Yeah.
CPM
So
is.
I mean, in some of these, he was spending less than $100 and reaching 50,000 people.
Yeah. See.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so
50,000 unique people.
yeah,
Wait, who are his media buyers? Like,
Great question.
I don't know.
Pascal. I think that's his last name. Maybe not. Let me
I've
pull up the
seen
handy dandy phone. He's got like he used to be on Trump's campaign.
right. He
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
And then he
And then he
got
and then he bought Traffic Pilot and turned media buyer.
That's it, dude.
That's
Trafficpilot.com, baby.
I
path
knew
to
it.
success.
Learn how to manipulate elections.
I knew it.
He's no longer
I'm
on the
kidding.
campaign, but he's still performing like that, overseeing the marketing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what's really
God, I would love to be in the room. When they're
that's what
planning
I'm
that
saying.
out.
So that's what's really interesting, right? So like overall, let's see how much they spent. Because this is from
the October 27th to
right,
the 3rd.
right?
Brad Parscale, Parscale. I don't know how to pronounce
And
that.
he's like the head guy for their.
Head honcho. Yeah, he looks like a interesting cat. You should.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Proud Boy?
Yeah.
Proud Boy?
I mean, I don't know. The haircuts. Check him out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not like the Proud Boy, like Proud Boy.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't know what to make of this.
So
Just kidding.
that's.
I'm glad no one watches this on YouTube.
This is a really good topic, right? Because we look at America as the beacon of democracy, right? It like epitomizes democracy to the world. But what's funny is there is some nerdy ass media buyer sitting in his office somewhere who no one knows anything about. He's not been elected to anything. Just sitting back, eating Cheetos, shaping American democracy.
Yep.
Yep.
That's insane.
Just a few clicks.
That's insane. And it's funny to look at like the beacon of democracy, so to say, and see the effects that advertising has. And sometimes, it just makes you wonder how many elections is Facebook in a year? Like
Over like 180
over 100
worldwide or
Yeah.
something like that.
Look at how they handled the U.S. election. Can you imagine what it's like in Ethiopia, like you were just saying earlier, Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you have enough money in those elections, you can just buy all the image because the CPMs there are like $1
Oh, yeah.
less.
Yeah, no, totally. And they were saying too, I was listening to the guy who created The Social Dilemma. He was on Rogan and he was talking about that exact thing, like the election issue. And he was saying that there was a lot of things happening to people that weren't even on Facebook in these countries, because what would happen is false news and information about a certain group of people. Because in Ethiopia, for example, it might not be Ethiopia, but one of those countries out there, they have 6 native languages to the country. And so, but Facebook only supports one of those languages, the most popular language, obviously. And there's actual offline harm being done because within the dialogue of that language, people are spreading hate and false information about other groups in the city and in the country, and that's causing people to radicalize and take action offline, and they're actually hurting those people on false news. And these poor people don't have any, like, they don't know why that's happening because they're not on Facebook. And the other crazy thing is Facebook has a program in these countries where Facebook is preloaded onto every single cell phone, and they have partnerships with the carriers out there where the data doesn't hit against your cap when you're using Facebook. So you can use Facebook data free because that's, and for them that's internet, and so they're getting locked into this platform that's basically destroying their society, which is just, I think that was one of the biggest things that resonated with me when I was listening to him talk.
It's so funny that this whole thing started because Mark Zuckerberg wanted to figure out if there were single chicks in his dorm.
Yeah.
and it spiraled.
Now it's shaping the world.
Yeah, now it's shaping the world.
Yeah. I mean, Zuckerberg literally has to live with, like, you know, anything that he decides for his company or his board or whatever is going to shape the world one way or another.
Yeah.
The policies you implement, what kind of features you have, who has access to these features, like, in theory, that's shaping the world. That's shaping politics. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So Joe Biden spent in the past 90 days, $76.1 million.
Whoa. 76.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, that's like approaching $1 million a day.
I mean, Zuck must be like, yeah, just keep it coming.
That's 90 days,
Like,
71 million.
How are they pushing that just with the scale of ads, the variety of creative?
It's like brand awareness at this point.
It's
Yeah.
just opening it up.
Running top funnel stuff. That's all just like engagement, video views.
All those YouTube videos Donnie keeps putting in my fucking feed.
Yeah, dude.
Gnarly, dude.
Donnie took over
Yeah,
YouTube.
man.
So
Donnie Jr.?
no, we're calling Donald Trump Donnie.
Big Cheeto.
Yeah, the big Cheeto.
Big cheese.
Oh, I saw this super interesting Reddit thread about this, and a liberal went on our conservative, which is like, I don't know if you guys have seen that subreddit. It's super interesting.
Cesspool. Just kidding.
Yeah. Check it out. There are definitely cesspool posts, but overall, there's definitely bad posts, but they're actually like civil and welcoming towards debate. So a liberal went on there and was like, look, I hate Donald Trump, to put it lightly, but I want to understand, like, why do you guys vote for him? Why, what makes someone like him? Like, his character is repulsive. You know, what do you like? And all the top comments were very similar. And one really stuck out to me. It was, look, no one likes his character. I'm employing him. I don't have to like him. And I think that divide is why Republicans and Democrats can't talk to each other. Because Democrats are so outraged at his character that they don't understand that Republicans are looking at it as like, look, this is the guy, this is a job. I don't like his character.
He's our quarterback.
Exactly. This is, you know, you may have a guy at your office who you don't like, but he puts up numbers.
Exactly.
You're not going to fire him. Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump should be the president. I have never voted for Donald Trump. I will never vote for Donald Trump. But I think that is where a big divide is happening. And what do you guys think? Should we care about the character of the president?
Hell yeah. I mean, if my quarterback had a shitty personality, I ain't catching no balls from that man.
That's a damn lie, and you know it.
Nah,
If he's putting up TDs.
Look.
Yeah. Oh, you just a false. Well, that's why I was a lineman, man.
Yeah,
Unsung heroes.
Yeah, exactly. If I didn't like the QB, if he made me mad, I let the block go.
Oh, blind. You played left tackle too.
Exactly.
So
yeah, left guard actually.
left guard.
I'm pulling
Oh yeah, you
around,
were
so,
fast.
you know.
Yeah, you had to pull.
I had a block for my RBs. That's who I cared about the most, baby.
The RBs. I love it.
No, QB? Fuck that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, in all seriousness,
it's interesting,
for sure.
and I think we should care about the president's character. I think that matters a ton because he represents us to the civilized world.
Yeah, and then why suddenly are we just not going to take into consideration someone's character? We do that with our friends, everybody, at the colleagues.
You don't hang around shitty people or tolerate shitty personalities.
Because we don't have to hang out with them. And I think...
Well, how much attention do you think these people in other countries give towards our political.
A
ton.
lot.
Yeah?
Yeah,
They give a ton of energy, dude.
Dude, this is
Ton
the
of
Super
energy.
Bowl of elections, bro.
Yeah, it's
The whole
crazy.
world is watching us. Like, do we have an STD or not? Like, I think
Yeah.
that's the most hilarious comparison, dude. They got the popcorn out and they're just waiting for us.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then think of it in, you know, financial terms. Like, think about how many business people, world leaders are looking at it as like, whoever's in office in the United States is going to influence the way markets move, the way the outlook of the future look. You know, there's a lot going into it. So there's a lot, you know, riding on it.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
And I thought it was super interesting too, because I was like, when I thought about that, and I was thinking, okay, so Republicans and Democrats both hate this guy's character. How bad are the Democratic policies that Donald Trump almost got elected again when both sides hate him? Mm-hmm. Like, that just shows you how weak the Democratic policy position really is. And it's funny that 2016, they pretty much did the same thing with someone who was just more likable than Hillary Clinton, which admittedly that's not very hard to do. But I'm wondering when the Democrats, who have a lot of advantages, are going to wake up and start making really smart policy moves.
And putting like better candidates up on the podium. Yeah, 100%.
Me and you were talking about this earlier. I think it's time for the new guard. I think it's
Who's the new guard though?
Facebook, Twitter.
No, that's like
Pinterest.
that's like the
Instagram.
that's the new establishment, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking like the new guard in politics. I think it's time that we don't choose between two 76-year-old white guys, right? I think it's time that we have someone like Andrew Yang who's coming up with real policy ideas. And what's absolutely hilarious to me is that the Republicans freaked out over Yang's UBI, Universal Basic Income, saying it was socialism. And then the Trump checks hit, and they're like, yes, Daddy Trump, send them. I'm like,
When are you going to send it again?
yeah.
That's what, like,
That's what UBI is.
Tie back into that policy statement you just made a few moments ago. I don't know if they're writing for policies. Like we talked about earlier, it's a sports team. It's like, who am I more rah-rah about? Because you look at the people that support and go out and support in the streets, and you look at the patriotism they have, it's very similar to the fandom you get in sports. You get the yelling. Like, I was riding my bike the other day, and this lady yelled at me, "Vote for freedom," and I'm like, all right, lady, I'm just trying to go to work, bro. Let me do my thing. So it's like you have all of these people
Working for freedom
outside just like showing showing how excited they are. And it seems like it's no longer based on the policies that these individuals represent, but it's more so on the character. Everybody's getting, they do like his character. So when they say no, I feel like some people may not, but a lot of the country does, they get inspired from how he speaks, because they feel like that is no longer, that used to be their American voice and it's no longer. So it's like the last fight, the last ditch effort to make that personality or that mindset, that perspective remain in America, because that's what it's always been.
I think there's definitely some people that are like that, like for sure. But at large, I would bet that if you asked Republicans if you like Trump's character, a lot of them.
Hell yeah, brother.
So exactly, that stereotypical Trump supporter does like his character.
Yeah.
But if you look at how close the vote was, there's a lot of people who, when polled, said they were voting for Biden and then voted for Trump. The only reason that happens is if you dislike his character, but you like his policies.
I think they're scared of the backlash, the backlash you get from your peers.
But there's no backlash. It's on a phone call. It's a poll calling and saying, hey, who are you going to vote for? And the person says, I'm going to vote for Biden. And then they go to the poll and they vote for Trump, right? So this is why the polls are so skewed. This is why the polls are so inaccurate, because they don't use anonymity. They ask the person's name, and then they ask them who they're going to vote for, but they don't release that information to the public. So I agree with you. There is fear of backlash in smaller communities for sure, right? For sure. But the reason polls are so skewed is because they're not anonymous. If you were to ask them anonymously through a different medium besides a phone call, you would get much more honest answers. But the polling mechanisms that we use currently, most of them don't do that. And that's why Donald Trump got way more votes than every single poll predicted.
Because but like they're identifying themselves at the poll, but on the phone they're not identified, are they? Are they on the phone? Are they identifying who they are? So like, are you?
Yeah. So they'll ask them like, who are you? Where do you live?
Got you. So because they ask all these identifying questions, people feel like they need to misrepresent who they are versus being in the poll.
They'll say statistically they'll say they're voting for Biden and end up voting for Trump when asked. And
based on how it all broke down this year.
Yeah, this year and I mean 2016,
yeah,
dude. That was
brutal.
That was insane. The New York Times gave Hillary a 98% chance.
Yeah, so okay, with all of this air and polls being, not as valuable as they seem, like why do we even keep doing polls? Like
so
they're wrong all the time. It's just guessing. You might as well just guess.
That's what I'm saying. Polls are normally accurate. They stopped being accurate in 2016 and then again in 2020. This is symptomatic of my argument that a lot of people hate Donald Trump's character. It's just the policies that they like that he does. They think he's doing a good job. And that's why they'll say they're voting for Biden and then vote for Trump. You know who I could see doing this? Joe Rogan. I could see Joe Rogan saying that he's going to vote for Biden and then voting for Trump. 100%.
Yeah, and I would say that he publicly says he'll vote for it. Like, I wouldn't say he didn't publicly come out, but it comes down to how people are viewing you.
Yeah,
ultimately, like you're going to say you vote for one candidate in the public eye because of how it's perceived, but then privately go vote for another because of how you actually feel.
But this is unique to Trump, right? It wasn't always like this. So the polls were a lot more accurate before. But Donald Trump represents an anomaly. And what I'm saying is I think most reasonable Americans understand that his character is despicable.
Yeah, no matter what side of the aisle.
No matter what side of the aisle. But for some people,
that little pimp thing is hilarious.
The little pimp thing is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to pull this up so we can put it on, and I'm screen recording.
I guess my perspective is fucked because I look at a lot of I view a lot of people that I personally grew up with defend everything he does.
For sure.
Trump? Everything? Like with a blind eye, just you can't do that.
No, like blind eye, and then when they get called out on it and hit with facts, and they still like try and justify it or flip it so that they're justified in how they feel.
Yeah.
So everyone I know,
but I grew up in the South, so that's why it's like my perspective is fine.
For sure. And like to counterbalance that,
it's different, not fucked.
I know a lot of Christians who vote for Donald Trump, right? And I asked them, I'm like, how? Like, just help me wrap my head around this. And the answer always is Biden's policies are worse. Now, I don't understand how the character thing is not a deal breaker. I don't understand how you could vote for Donald Trump and not have like a serious internal, but that's me, right? I don't represent everyone. For a lot of people, I think they're looking at it as they're hiring for a job and somehow they can divorce his character from the position.
Right.
And
it's like having a top sales guy.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same psychology.
But it's like you're valuing policies over human rights. Policies that violate human rights, and you're agreeing with those policies.
Well, not if you believe that his policies violate human rights. So, like, give me an example of a policy that violates human rights by Trump.
By Trump, I don't even know his policies that well, dude. I can't even probably speak
wall,
from.
Like, wasn't that a thing?
There you go.
Like, keeping people from
entering the country. Yeah, like
so
I don't even want to speak on it. Like,
so like building a wall is a great example, right? Does that deny human rights? No, I don't think illegal immigration is a human right, and that's what it's designed to.
When people are caught and taken
away from their family, like the whole
kids,
I guess
you know what I'm saying?
So that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
The separation of families and
the
children.
Kids in cages at the border.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Donald Trump's argument to that was that he didn't build the cages. The previous administration did.
Right.
Now, if that's true or not, we don't know. But we do know that Obama was not good on immigration. There was a lot of problems. They just weren't as publicized as the Trump administration. So I think that these things to Republicans are not deal breakers because they don't care about his character or they don't like it, but it's not a deal breaker. And to them, they don't see the policies as actual human rights violations. They just think that he said things that are racist or that are, xenophobic. And it's unquestioned, right? He said things like he just did.
Yeah.
Like they ask him to denounce white supremacy and he's like, Proud Boys stand by. What is that? What is that? Or do you guys remember when he mocked the disabled reporter?
Yeah.
I don't know what I said. And he's like
Yeah.
literally doing,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's the most unpresidential behavior in the world, right? But people don't view that, or Trump supporters at least, don't view that as
A deal breaker.
A deal breaker, because they think the policies are good enough.
But the problem is they've never talked about policies. They're grandiose ideas. I don't think they're qualified to be policies, right? He gets the rah-rah at these rallies, but like, have we really heard him talk about certain things and
So
thoroughly walk through the solution?
The one that he mentions all the time is the black unemployment rate, right? We hear that all the time. Black unemployment rate is at a historic low, is at a historic low. And that's like always cited. But what is really funny to me about that is, one, we don't know what those jobs were. Two, we don't know how much wealth was accumulated. We don't know if those jobs are long-term, if they're good paying jobs, if they're stable jobs. Now, the unemployment rate's important, but Donald Trump will just take those things and cling to them and act like they're, you know, the paramount of his policy. And it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, if you say things like that for a long period of time, people will start believing it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of why I think he does that.
Exactly. And then I think on the liberal media outlets attacked him the same, no matter if he actually did something wrong or did something they didn't like. And they treated it as a moral outrage. So conservatives were like, you guys are garbage. And they threw the whole thing out, right? So it's like a tactical error on both sides. And so I don't understand how you can, like, Donald Trump gives you enough material to where you don't need to make up shit. But so much was made. I mean, the Russia collusion thing, that whole thing is now being laughed at. And all of these things happened. And I think that solidified in conservatives' minds, oh, he's being unfairly attacked. And then they brushed with broad strokes over all the bad stuff he actually said. And it's interesting. I think this type of politics is new, and I don't think it's something that we were prepared to deal with. And it created a war of information that ruined journalism. It ruined it.
Yeah, I think they should have kept politics out of social media, because
How do you do that though?
I mean,
you don't. I mean, that's like everybody's gonna have opinions on political things.
But I think to Mandy's point, Facebook could say no political ads.
Yeah, like keep that
Yeah,
off.
but there's so much
Yeah,
money
bro,
on the table.
I mean, we're looking at over 110 million the past 90 days.
And
Yeah.
we're smarter than that, dude. We just figure out a way around the system to run
120.
political ads anyway. People run CBD, marijuana, fucking dick
Yep.
pills. Like,
Yep.
you see all that shit on.
So hold on, I think OU's got a fact check.
Well, yeah, like to kind of recount that statement, like me not being aware of his policies is fault of myself. So probably misstatement to say policies, but it's more so the things that he says that speak out against human rights, not so much the policies, because I've looked up a few and there are some questionable stances about the decisions behind reversing orders or enacting certain policies. It doesn't explicitly say that this is against human rights, but the things and the violence he incites, they do infringe on
human rights.
Yeah, exactly.
Got
So it may
it's
not be
almost like it's a consequence of those decisions. of those
I agree
policies.
with that 100%.
That makes sense.
I think the cultural effect that Donald Trump has had has been so toxic, so horrible. And to pretend that anyone but him is to blame, even if liberal media outlets took it too far, it doesn't matter. He's the president. He started it. He needs to be held accountable for what he said.
So going back to the ads, what do you think about what about his ads are driving lower CPMs?
just engaging,
Just more
Exactly.
engaging.
So
like, yeah, I can't deny it.
Exactly.
Biden has shitty ads.
But beyond just that, like what strategically is happening? What are the differences in the strategy? Because we saw RSVP down.
Dark images.
Yeah,
like
everything's got to be
super-
blue, but they chose a
exactly.
really dark blue, and the lack of CTAs, the lack of engaging.
They're not enticing fear. All these images look like very like good setting, whereas with Donald, it's like creepy things.
You're
things
so
that are
right.
cause you pattern
You're
interruption.
so right.
Things that are going to invoke fear. He's not like Biden's not playing on fear at all, and like Trump totally plays into that.
100%.
Especially like
So
the Democrats are going to take over.
Yeah, and there's call to actions on every single one. Stop socialism. Text vote to 8802.
Yeah.
That's on the top of a couple ones. Here's another one. Don't let Joe Biden pack the court. Right now, you look at Joe Biden's. Here's an image of him in a mask with a quote that says, "The nation needs a candidate who can act with knowledge, open-mindedness, and understanding at home and abroad. Joe Biden is that candidate, and the Star editorial board endorses him."
Yeah, whack. It's
Whack.
like they're just copy and pasting Google searches.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. It's just trash. Whereas, like, Trump's definitely playing on where people are at right now. And you have to be creative about that. And that's how you kind of get those CPMs to drive, because people are going to click. It's like what they want to hear. It's what they
Click,
want to listen to.
share,
Yep.
like, comment, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, tag their family members, get all their homies, like, look at this. I told you. I told you.
Yeah, and so like,
Does Biden have anything with like texting or capturing these voters'
got lead
information
forms.
for follow up?
he's got
for
lead
sure.
forms. Help me out. 2-question survey.
But, like, it's
But you
trash.
compare that to Donald Trump.
What
That,
are the questions?
I don't know.
It's like RSVP versus help me out. I mean, Jordan explained it perfectly at the start of this. I mean, help me out versus RSVP. It's like, clearly, you feel like you're part of a program on RSVP, and help me out's like fucking
Exactly.
socialism.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and like here's another one. No malarkey, just 2 quick questions, right? So he's like, I just need to ask you 2 questions, right? That's just weird.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has one that says, be one of the patriots who helped save America. Look at the difference in those.
It's way better copy.
It's astronomical, right? The difference is just astounding. One says, help me out. I need help. Help me. I'm pathetic. The other one's like, it preaches transformation. It's like,
Well, and it evokes emotion.
Yeah,
Makes you
exactly.
feel American and prideful that you're actually doing something.
It's
Yes.
crazy that that's what he wants his user base his base to stand for, but they're all floating around with defamed flags and like all of the like it's like you're a patriot, but you're flying a flag that's been completely redone. You have a Confederate flag flying next to it, or you're flying the Trump flag above the American flag.
Right. You're a patriot, but countries around the world are despising our president, and the country is more torn. Its people are more divided than ever, and you're framing that as saving the country. Like that's ridiculous.
Positive nationalism.
But it's a better app.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting here is we're talking about the problem of advertising at large. And the reason this problem exists is because of human psychology. The reason it exists is because these tactics work flat.
Just a new medium. It used to be back in paper, and now it's all digital, so things just move and spread a lot quicker.
Look at
Way more
this
effective.
thumbnail.
Trash, dude.
Let me see.
Like, it looks like
It looks unfinished.
Yeah,
It looks like they
it looks fake. Like Biden looks fake in that. Like he doesn't even look like a real. From back here, he doesn't even look like a real
this
human.
one.
Maybe that's just the screen.
2.5 a Q?
Oh yeah,
Like
I know.
what is that?
I don't know. That thumbnail's trash.
Look at the one on the left.
Yeah.
They're probably just running DCs. You know what? Biden's running dynamic creative, and Trump's running.
Wouldn't it be
static.
funny if
Oh man.
Is that what it is?
No, we're just joking.
Nerding
because
out.
yeah, we're nerding out. So dynamic, me and OU have been on this theory of like, we've been noticing that dynamic creative will do very well, but then in the afternoon, all of a sudden it'll stop working. And it's almost like Facebook is serving the right elements, but then not learning from that, which defeats the purpose of a dynamic creative. So we've noticed that the ads will sometimes render with the wrong headline, things like the description will be the headline, like out of, it looks like
wow.
a glitch. And so when we saw that, it looked like one of those glitches. Yeah.
Just giving the
Gotcha.
algorithm way too much control.
Yeah.
And it just goes wild, especially with everything going on right now. So
Yeah.
better to take more control of your ads.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. And to see that price be reflected, it's pretty crazy. But at the end of the day,
what if we found out Biden was using buyers out of like Ukraine or Bangladesh?
I think he just tried to scramble together a team, whereas like Trump had
Correct.
that Pascal dude since like 2011.
Yeah,
He's
no.
been on the Trump campaign doing shit with Trump. He started off as like his web developer and then progressed to campaign manager in this last run, and
get him on the pod.
always oversaw the media strategy for his.
And
marketing.
I think Donald Trump is better at hiring people than Joe Biden.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's the fucking apprentice. Like,
Exactly.
look, he had years.
Exactly.
Years of
And
practice.
he probably, I mean, Joe Biden probably found a team and was like, all right, you keep going, guys.
You can do this.
You know,
just
but
go do it.
Yeah, exactly. You can do this thing? Okay, do the thing.
Yeah, help me out.
But you know the thing.
Go do
But
it. Now.
it's so funny. But you know, Trump, I'm sure, fired people several times
Right.
leading up to it.
He
and
optimized his
then
team.
found that guy, and then, you know, really wrote it out.
So a question, do we see another candidate in the next, let's say 10, 20 years that's going to replicate what Trump did with social strategies and things like that?
Oh, it's already happened.
They are.
Exactly.
Check out the dude in
Okay.
South Carolina, Jamie Harrison. He ended up losing anyway to Lindsey Graham.
Was
but,
to Lindsey Graham, yeah.
But the print-on-demand approach he had, his
Right.
marketing strategy, fire, dude.
Right.
Fire.
He was selling shirts print on demand.
Oh yeah, he had like little print-on-demand sandals that were like against his op, if you will, Lindsey Graham. But yeah, he
So
came
you'd
up
be
with
stepping on her all the time.
a lot of creative ways to just like, you know, captivate his audience, get people to support him and invest. And it's like, as a politician, if you're not using all of these tools that are readily available to you to like kind of grow your bottom line and to invest more money into your campaign, then you're just a boomer and old and not keeping up with the times.
Yeah, I agree that the candidates are,
Interesting.
I don't want to say morally obligated to use everything that they have, but I think
The landscape requires it.
exactly
You have
for
to.
sure. Yeah, the environment.
You're not going to get money you need money to play in this game now. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get anywhere without having those funds.
It'd be interesting to see if the government implemented like a policy or a law that prevented you from making profits on those types of models,
Nah,
like
bro.
for election reasons. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Like, what if they nip that shit in the bud?
Look, Trump been lining his pockets his whole time. They're not going to stop that.
True.
He just made it more like,
True.
okay, you can be in the public about it now. We don't have to hide how you're making your money when you're in this position. But before they had to, they couldn't.
No, but
just
what
be
I'm
out
saying
of-
is like campaigns making profits,
yeah. What do you mean, like just?
like generating a store where they're selling merch on demand.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it either, but I could see that. No,
Nah, I mean, you become better at what you do, better at campaigning. Essentially, you're like
And-
a marketer as a politician.
100%. And those campaigns and those super PACs have always been responsible for fundraising.
Yeah.
So what's the
Yeah.
difference between
point.
fundraising and sending them a
Exactly,
shirt? You know,
exactly.
yeah,
if anything, the customer gets more out of it. But it's interesting
The
that
voter.
Exactly.
voter.
It's interesting that I just referred to him as a customer
Shit, they
because
still buy 'em, bro.
it's transactional,
it's
right?
transactional.
Mhm.
Like,
You're buying an
yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
you
They're
market
users,
them.
you know, they're addicted to the content they're getting from the candidate they're following. I mean, check your emails, bro. I've been getting hit with crazy
Bro, check your
headlines,
text
bro.
messages.
Crazy headlines.
Yeah, I've been blocking everything.
Yeah.
I'm really curious of the 20 million more, roughly about 18 million more that Biden spent. How much of that was responsible for his late surges? And ultimately, he's probably going to be the president, you know.
Right.
And so you got to wonder, because you got to remember, Hillary Clinton outspent Donald Trump on advertising in every single medium except digital, where he spent way more than
Yeah,
her.
'cause
And the Democrats learned, and they're like, let's just invest heavy on digital. Can you look at what states he was targeting with those ads in the final days?
Didn't Elizabeth Warren say she like
age.
initially when she first started campaigning, I think it was her. I don't know. She basically came out like, let's not use Facebook. Like, are you crazy? Like, that's
Yeah,
how
you're not
gonna
gonna win.
You got to run paid ads, shorty.
That's what I'm talking about Democratic, their policy ideas. Like, that framework is gnarly. It's not based in like the real world. Now, not all Democrats are like that. There's a lot of good Democrats out there. I just don't feel like they're being listened to, and I feel like the wrong person keeps rising up. Like, I don't know how Joe Biden was the best person we had, but
That's been decided years ago, bro.
yeah, it
When,
really
Barry,
has.
when he took that second seat to Barry, he's like, bro, you're gonna be in the hot seat.
Absolutely
here.
right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
That's
right.
how the DNC plays, right?
It's nepotism. We saw that with Bernie so clear, where literally Bernie was a much better candidate to go against Trump than Hillary Clinton, and the DNC snubbed him, no questions asked. And so how is that democratic?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I ran a smear campaign against her for a Republican in SoFlo, trying to get him in office.
Really?
Yeah, I spent like $5-6 grand and got him the closest he's ever been. There's real power to using
There
paid
is,
ads for
yeah.
politicians in office. Shout out, hit me in the DMs if you're trying to come up next political season.
For real. No, I'm serious on that. Like, I want to do something
just
in
dabble with
politics.
it,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay, so
The scale is
so
nuts.
this
You're just
is
buying it.
fascinating. If we go by state, California, which has 55 electoral votes, there was 1.6 million spent on November 2nd. Right?
Why?
Um,
He knew he was going to win California.
Michigan, 1.9 million. So they spent more in Michigan than they did in the entirety of California. Wisconsin, 1 million. This is just one day.
One day.
Pennsylvania, 1.9 million. Florida, 2.2 million.
Damn,
Georgia,
damn.
1 million. In one day.
Wow.
Damn.
So you can see,
That's incredible scale.
look at the swing states. They're all dark green.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a major driving factor. It had to be.
Yep.
It had to be. Now, I'm curious how much of this actually changed someone's mind. One thing that perplexes me is, like, we were seeing these Trump supporters last night. They were standing by the Cardiff Kook waving Trump flags, just like screaming and being weird.
They've been doing that for months.
I know. And it's like,
it
what?
switches, and like during the day it's Biden and at night it's Trump.
Yeah.
Like it literally does. Dude.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Welcome to North County, San Diego.
Yeah, bro. I'm sticking my flag here tonight.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
But I wonder, like, when that lady like yelled at you, "Vote for freedom."
Yeah.
Like, did she expect you to be pedaling and being like, "Huh"?
Yeah. Oh.
I would-
let me go do that right now.
I was gonna vote for Biden, but some crazy chick driving down the freeway yelled at me. I'm gonna vote for Trump. Like, what? Do we expect that to work?
I don't know, but you could ask the same question with paid ads. It's like,
I
can
am
a
asking that
30-second
same
video, do we expect that to work? And clearly it does.
I mean,
obviously it
given
does.
Shorty's context, fuck no, that didn't work for her.
Well, of
but
course.
like with
Hell
the,
yeah.
with the video,
But if she had 15 seconds to be like, hey, let me tell you why you should vote for Donald Trump, maybe not, you would have changed your vote.
in that 15 seconds, I could have pushed like 300-400
30 seconds.
watts.
Okay, what have you seen this?
I could have got some. I just kept pushing, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and OU is about as like anti-establishment as they
Yeah.
come. It's something we've always bonded over.
I feel like you're not free if you're out there like, I can run paid ads and be more effective than you yelling and go vote for freedom
Big
when I ride by on my
Totally
bike,
that.
bro. Like I can
Big
place an
facts.
ad on your phone while you're driving down the highway, not paying attention to the road anyway. That's going to
Yeah.
be way more effective than the split second you try to yell at me. So, I'm just
Yeah.
going to use better tools.
Yeah. I'm going to use
That's
better tools.
crazy. That
yeah.
could be a pitch.
Yeah.
VSL.
How politicians can use better tools to win elections.
Yeah, this is fascinating because you got to think.
We start
Sticking that
swaying
shit down.
elections out in our Encinitas office. We're just swaying politics.
Well, that's what's great. We
Holy.
talked about that earlier,
Yeah.
right? There's like
That's
some,
what's happening.
Everything.
There's like some random media. I mean, look at it.
That is true. There's
Look at
like
how
a-
we influence commerce, right? Like, and in the social dilemma, what's that guy's name? The cool dude with the dreads, the VR guy.
Damn it.
Thick
I
with
don't
two
know.
Cs.
He's a legend,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I'm.
Anyways, what were you?
Anyways, people will tell you that if you're not paying for it, you are the product, right? And he's like, all right, that's too simple. It's the small, imperceptible change of behavior that is the product. It's always been the product.
Mm-hmm.
Social media makes money by getting people to do something they otherwise wouldn't have, right? And we see that all the time. That's what we do. We influence on a very small level by this thing, by this product, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have bought it. That's why ads work. That's why they drive revenue. That's why they grow businesses, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting that same imperceivable change happens on a political level, and advertisers do that. And there's some guy sitting in his office, probably listening to techno, because that's what media buyers listen to that while they work, except OU and me, honestly. Like,
I'll listen to it.
I love hip hop, but there's some guy sitting in his office who no one knows, damn sure did not vote or anything like that for him, and he's shaping politics more than a lot of senators, I would say, because he's influencing the vote.
Yeah. And it's crazy because those people hide in plain sight, right? I mean, they're the people that are in line at Starbucks, and then they get their coffee and they go back to media buying, and who knows what they're
I
buying.
think at that scale, you have some party affiliation, though, for sure. Especially like all the buyers with, they did go through, what is that? The Great Hack. They kind of walked through and talked to a lot of these guys that worked on the campaign in 2016 and kind of how it all went down. And those guys all have like this natural like alignment with those views. Like even if they're not directly for the party, you can still see, all right, you got some tick in you that makes you want to do this for that reason and support this candidate.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to start running ads for someone you don't agree with.
I mean, I would say, because I was running for the, I didn't agree with what Debbie did so I think I had a personal vendetta.
That's what I was saying.
I didn't agree with how they did Bernie, so I was like, all right, well, time to run the smear campaign, run it up, let's see what happens, and it's very effective. So I think it comes down to like the personal reasons that individual, that buyer, like why they're doing that, because you have like at that level of media buying, you have a substantial impact on the outcome of things. So you are doing it for a reason deeper than just getting paid. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at that level when you're spending that much money.
For sure. It's like this is fun. I'm changing America right now, and I'm spending a shit ton of money on Facebook that I don't have to care about the metrics. Just what's my CPM?
Yeah,
like,
spend as much as possibly can.
Exactly.
That's the thing, though. Only one team didn't care about the metrics. They spent all that money on add to carts, no purchases. And, the other team did. But they also underspent dramatically, and it looks like they're going to lose the election. But I don't think Donald lost because he didn't spend enough. I think Donald lost because his character.
Yeah, definitely.
Ultimately shot himself in the foot. His ads are way better.
His ads are way better. It's not a question. But yeah,
do you think he would have lost if COVID didn't happen?
I think there would be less argument against DT if COVID wasn't here. Like there wouldn't be something to constantly compare his presidency to. They chopped that up like 200,000 deaths. Ultimate failure. Like there's a lot of negativity.
Data and
I've never understood how we blamed all 200,000 on Donald Trump. To be honest, it never made sense to me. The narrative for sure. And like every time Biden's asked about it, they're like, well, what would you do differently? He's like, well, there's things you can do. Like,
I think transparency is key.
Yeah,
just be transparent with your people and let them know what's up. Because the countries that were extremely transparent with their people, it seems like they curbed it the most. You look at like South Korea, everybody had apps on their phone to tell you who had COVID within 100 feet of you. So it's like that level of transparency Americans aren't ready for, because they think, oh, they're hacking my phone. They're going to tell me where I'm at and shit. And they're not going to be with that.
That's exactly what I thought. As soon as you said that, that's gnarly. I don't want,
a little much.
Bro, but they already do that, though.
The
Like
government?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, the Patriot Act.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
They've
you're
been
right.
in
Hell yeah, brother.
They've been in our
but
shit
the contact tracing thing is weird, man.
Well, I mean, but
it works. I get it.
It's been around since the Patriot Act. And we haven't questioned none of that.
Now that we're 7 months out from the beginning of this thing, that type of infringement on privacy, is that even warranted for the way this disease has gone its course? Like, yes, people are getting sick. Yes, people are dying. But it's like, it's not like the Spanish flu. It's not like, millions of people are dying. It's a very small portion of the population. Is it worth giving up all those freedoms and all those rights and all of that privacy for a little bit of gain?
I think in a world where we're weighing this in a vacuum, right, and we're weighing the exchange of all of our rights for advanced COVID measures, right, I think a lot of people would say no. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd have to think more on that. I think 200,000 dead people is a very severe thing. But the flu killed 76,000 last year. You know what I mean?
How many people die from poverty every year?
For sure. But my
I hate
point,
to put it in that frame, but it's just
right.
You gotta look at it
that we should still care, though, right? It's still
of
a
course.
very big deal. But I think in a world where our privacy rights have already been violated by things like the Patriot Act, then stuff like contact tracing is kind of like, I mean, what are
inevitable.
what are we worried about? Like,
think
our privacy's already been violated.
It comes down to lack of empathy amongst the population. People don't understand, the struggle that somebody else might be going through. I don't want to cause the death of like somebody's grandparent. You don't know what that individual meant to them. So it's like, if I can prevent the death of somebody else, I'll go through what's necessary to do that. And if that means I got to chill in the house for a few months, I mean, I'm already been used to that. Like,
right.
Like whatever.
You prefer that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but what if you have to chill in the house and your fridge ain't full?
Instacart.
What you going? I mean,
Well, if your fridge ain't full,
If
you
you
can't
ain't got
afford
this-
Instacart.
Yeah.
Instacart, dog. I mean, but also, so
Oh,
I had
Manny,
like
that's a
a
great point.
You know?
really,
what I mean?
really dark conversation with some friends about in a form. It's a form of natural selection. You know, there statistically somebody's going to end out less favorable than the others, and you know we're all in positions where we saw this coming years ago, and we've been preaching. Like we've all have tried to get everybody else on board with working from home, working on the computer, providing more value.
A value-based job
Exactly,
as opposed to a
value-based-
time trade-off based job.
Exactly. So now the pandemic just really woke these people up to make them realize, like, oh, I can't keep doing this shit forever. So, like, it's a byproduct of that, man. That there's going to be people in those situations, and it's unfortunate. But you also have to, you know, look at it on the other hand. It's like, damn, I'm in a position where this doesn't have to happen, and I can uplift others so they don't have to live that life either.
Yep.
You know? So, like I said, it's going to happen. There's always going to, like, the poor people always get fucked in these situations.
They do. And I think, and then you have some people that are just ridiculous that are like going into Target and they're like, I'm not wearing my mask.
Yeah, fuck
So
your
Yeah,
rights.
that's a
violation of
little
my
extra.
of my
That's
Constitution rights.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
like, you're in a private business, first of all. They have the right to say whatever they want. If they say that only people with yellow shirts can enter, it's a private business. They're allowed to do that. So
I mean, they do that already with the no shirt, no service type.
Exactly.
So it's like-
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody argues that. Like
Yeah.
they tell you have to put a shirt on. Like
But-
what, you can't free your nipples as a male and walking around. Like, come on, where's the outrage? But you know,
Yeah, but
protect you from coughing on somebody.
and it's
like,
hilarious that when no shirt, no shoes, no service is totally fine, but please wear a mask during a pandemic is a violation of your
Yeah.
constitutional rights.
Well, then, but all of that was almost stirred by the current administration to almost mask and distract everyone from the way that they're handling this COVID situation. You know what I mean?
So yeah, and I think I would assume that a majority of Americans disapproved of how Donald Trump handled everything.
Look at the election.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like downplaying COVID is just
It's
no,
not
man.
the move.
It's not the move.
Transparency, baby. You just got to be clear with your people. Like, I mean, we established that as a business, like from early
That's
on,
right.
it's just
From
being
day one.
transparent. And I think that helps you build, like, it'll help establish empathy amongst all of us. Like, we all have a bond that is kind of inseparable. So I think you only build that from authentically caring about somebody, and you can't do that when somebody's not being transparent with you. You feel like they're keeping something from you, or they're hiding, or they're lying.
Right.
And like, I would say that you can kind of sum that up with politicians in a whole. We always feel like they're keeping something from us. They're lying. Hell, the CIA just came out and approved aliens and like rock energy. You
That
know,
was
shout out to
crazy,
the astrologists out there.
that stuff is so crazy.
Yeah, and it's
I need to learn more about it, but I'm wondering, how are we not freaking out about
Yeah.
this? Like, why is this
There's
not
too much
everywhere?
going on. Pandemic, Donald Trump. Like we you know, it's too many things to be occupied with, and our brains can only handle so much, or the everyday person can only handle so much. So it's like that stuff's been mass hysteria for so long that it's still going to get
old
down. But
news.
it's old news. You know, nobody really cares about it as being
Right.
fascinating. Like we all in the back of our minds thought aliens exist, or like the spiritual world was real.
Yeah.
But just no like real
Wait,
claim.
so
Now,
they said spiritual world
yeah, the
is
CIA
official?
had like a real authority, government authority has come out and approved. Like while all the pandemic and shit was going down, they just like spiritual energy is real, and
Who
you know
said,
aliens are
what
real.
political person said this?
The CIA, like they actually came out and
Let's-
approved these
let's
things.
pull
yeah.
this up.
Yeah,
real quick.
like,
What does
what?
approve mean?
Like basically
Acknowledge
yeah,
its
acknowledge
existence.
that there's
Did they make like a
existence.
statement,
Yeah,
or
they
like what kind
release-
of proof, like
release,
where they
real,
gathered this
real
information?
documents behind like research into this that
Pull
they've
this
done.
up.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
That's insane.
So, aliens as a source of intelligence. Oh no, that document's from 1947. That's
a little
definitely not
outdated.
it. Yeah.
It's like an "I told you so" for like a lot of people. 'Cause-
Oh no, that was it. So declassified CIA X files kept secret for over 40 years reveals UFO circled above Scottish town in the late 50s.
bro.
Interesting.
I'm going to go charge my crystals tonight. This is cool. It works, guys.
The 186-page document, which was released by the CIA, was kept in a closed file for almost 40 years. Apart from UFO sighting, the document also included psychic powers and Cold War espionage over decades of spy games.
I feel like this would be something that would be news if the world wasn't the way it was.
Oh, for sure. People
you know,
would be flipping out.
everyone
like,
was making money. Everybody had, everyone was comfortable.
They were
blah,
just
blah,
like
blah.
bored at home with. They needed
Yeah.
more entertaining things. So this is like shove it under the rug. Let's get it out. Disclose this information. But what they
The
kept it from us for
timing
40
is eerie.
years.
Yeah.
40 years. You're gonna wait 40 years to tell us that? What
40
the hell
years,
do you know?
You're going to pull it now.
Yeah.
Release it in the middle of a pandemic plus election.
What else do you know? You know, like come on. So there's just like I think the populations aren't prepared for that, because then I think it would cause, like Jordan and I talked about this the other day, it would cause people to question, why am I living? What am I doing? You know, what is my purpose? Because our purpose is like we humans forever have always like tried to find purpose for living, reason to living. So
even though life inherently offers none, right? There's no real purpose. You live and you die. That's it.
You got to create or find it. Yeah.
So the structures that exist within these governments give people purpose to live. And then when you release information that makes you question the authority of these government figures, then people start to question, like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know?
Wait, do you think we don't find purpose because of our environment? Like, we weren't designed for this earth in a sense, right?
So that's a fascinating statement, and we can unpack that for sure. But I think that we are strange, at least. That what we talked about last time is it doesn't seem to be a lot of cows grazing in the field suffering from existential crisis, right? But suicide is one of the most deadly things for young adult men.
Bro, a suicidal cow. Can you imagine? I'm sorry.
I know. That's taking the grass is always greener to a whole other level.
Running off cliffs and shit, dog. What you mean? Go upstairs? They can't
there's
come
no cliffs,
downstairs,
bro.
That's an old school thing. They used to like take cow, like country schools would take cows and put them on the second floor, because cows, like, they weigh so heavy, so their legs would like crumble under the pressure of them trying to go downstairs. So you got to kill the cow.
They would just do that for fun.
Yeah, it's like one of those school pranks back in the day. Yeah.
Oh man, what happened?
LOL.
I know it's pretty fucked.
What happened to cow tipping?
Yeah, I mean, cow tipping's probably pretty bad too.
I don't, can you imagine if you were just sleeping and somebody randomly body checked you? Like, that's such a dick move,
and you can't even get up.
That's such a dick move.
I would not be surprised if OU has been cow tipping.
I haven't. Honestly, like, I've thought.
What's the most country thing you think you've ever done?
Thing that I've ever done, dude.
Can we give our listeners a little background? Like,
All right. So I grew up in the Panhandle of Florida, about an hour from the Alabama state line. It's pretty rural and country with the beach town vibes. So if you can get the two mixes of that, the vibes are interesting. So you go about 10 minutes north of you and you're in the woods, living country life and doing redneck things, or you can go chill on the beach and still be a redneck.
A redder neck.
So there's just like all kinds of crazy weird activities that go on down there. I would say I strayed away from a lot of country things, but I would say probably like mudding. I'm gonna keep PG.
Mudding?
You've always been a hustler, though.
Yeah.
You've always been about making that money.
Exactly, and there's no money to be made in the woods other than like skinning some shit. So, and I'm not really about killing things. So
there ain't no money to be made in the woods.
That's so funny, dude. So great.
There is money there, but like just not the type of money I'm doing. It's like physical hard labor. I click keyboards for a living, so buttons, and I prefer that. My hands are pretty non-calloused.
And
so no alligator wrestling?
Nah, hell no, girl. Hell no. Can't do that.
But
doesn't include fucking my sister. I don't want it.
We must be an hour in because this podcast is getting wild.
Yeah, we're probably like 103. Like it hits every time. But yeah, Minnie, going back to what you said, and you said like I forgot how did you phrase it? You phrased it really well.
Like the reason why we don't find purpose here is because we're not from here. Like every other animal has a certain role that they play in this whole like animal, structure, but we pretty much dominate everything, or
right. Yeah, we're.
Do you think that's just
and not just killing other animals? We kill like environment.
Sure.
On top of that,
and so change the landscape and change the earth, and
so maybe like sometime back in the whenever days we killed Mars, came down here, fucking did something else, and we've lost all that information, so we're just trying to track back.
So you weren't on this podcast, but OU kept saying
we're aliens, dog.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And
but now we found our alien information. Like
right
now they're bringing it out. Like hey,
now there's
aliens,
evidence,
or we contacted them or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but man's quest for meaning has always been very strange to me. I think a lot of people just take it at face value, like, oh yeah, we need to find meaning in our lives. But I'm always like, why? Like, why? Why can't the life just be the purpose? Why do we have enough intellect to understand that life is absurd and meaningless on face value. It's weird.
Finding meaning makes people miserable. Like, it just creates this misery inside.
I would
people.
say the lack of meaning makes people miserable when their lives are, when they don't feel that they're doing something that's valuable, when they don't feel.
So what about when we do find our meaning?
I feel like the quest of seeking meaning could be miserable, but I think like once you've found sort of a track that you can follow, whether that's through your work or whatever,
So meaning
then
is
it becomes fulfilling.
It's different for everyone, right?
Yeah, that's
it's different for everyone. So I think like, some people are driven to do big things. The conversations you and I have, right? Like, we're not here just to make some money, right? It's the idea of building something that's incredible, of changing the way that things work, of leaving a mark, right? Those are the things that, for me, they light me on fire, right? That's why I love being alive, is because of this thing that I'm chasing. When I find it, if I actually do it, what happens after that, I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't think I'll be one of those people that retires early, because I love work. I love building. I love making things. I love trying to progress. But I do know that my life, I was extremely existentially troubled until I was about 25.
Because you didn't have meaning?
Yeah, I thought life was pointless.
Gotcha.
I thought life was my thought. Here's how, I probably came to this understanding when I was young, man. I was young, but I realized everyone told me, go to school, get a job, have a family. And I thought, okay, I'll do all those things. And then one day I'm going to die, and I'm just one tiny speck in the grand scheme of everything. I am nothing. My existence is nothing. Why should I go through all this turmoil if it doesn't mean anything? And then as I got older, and that led to a lot of really bad things, right? I did a lot of drugs just to try and block that thought out, because it caused severe depression for a long time. Once I got older, and coincidentally, it coincided with me finding a digital marketing. But I think I saw a route to where I could build something and I could make a life that had if I remember realizing this exact thought, if I have half of 1% of making a difference, it's worth going all in, because it's a guarantee, if I don't, that I won't make a difference, that I'll be in the exact spot I was, that I will know life is meaningless. So if there's even 1/10 of 1%, if there's just a tiny chance, I'm going all in. And for me, it led, being with Taylor, to be honest, really opened up a different channel for me. I saw life differently, and all the struggles seemed worth it because there was that bit of meaning, And for me, it was the most valuable thing that's ever happened to me.
Got you. So that you found your meaning, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Like I think that for me, I know what my life means. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Got you. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think to kind of piggyback off of what Manny was saying, with the pursuit of finding meaning can completely destroy people.
Yes, it
Because
can.
when they may find it or find out that it's not what they thought it should be.
Or find out that it's not there.
Yeah, that too. And I think that so this kind of goes back into, I had a conversation with a really smart dude a few years ago, and he told me about black matter or dark matter. And if we could possess the power or harness dark matter, there would be no need for electricity. You would not need to buy power from the government. So without that basic need, people can go on to create, infinite amounts of energy. They can basically build whatever they need to survive because they have the energy resource to power whatever they need. So when you have that basic, I guess, requirement for life, which is just like power. Like we all need power to move our body. We all need power and energy. There you go. Energy to do things. When you can harness and control it, you no longer listen to people above you. You find different reasons to live. You go live in the jungle and just build fun shit all day. And when you have an entire populations made of people that are doing exactly that, there's no progression of the I guess population, the human race. Like people just aren't innovating and doing things or they're just doing things in silos because they're just doing it for their own purpose. There's no like general
collective purpose.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like right now we have a collective purpose of like building powerful things and acquiring wealth and to ultimately have control over things. So like without that need to do those things, then you just have like a wild population. Mm-hmm. Then we're like a bunch of animals just living everywhere in the woods, just shitting, eating berries and shit. So.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right that the pursuit of meaning can literally drive people crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that's an idea that works for some people and it doesn't work for other people.
100%.
Like other people shouldn't do anything in terms of finding anything.
Agreed.
They should just like put them in a box over there, 9 to 5. Just
agreed.
The rest of your life, just whatever.
Agreed. Why do you think that though?
Because that they work, their mind works in that way. And then there's other people like us that we get in that environment and we can't function.
Literally.
So it's like for us, it's like painful for us.
It's painful, yeah. And so for me, this pursuit was to get out of a position where I was emotionally tortured. Mm-hmm. I was miserable every day. And this pursuit got me out of that. I would say if you're not there, then you're good. You have what you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, some people believe everything they're told and some people don't. They question, you know what I'm saying? And we're those people that question. And
I wonder why that is. Statistically, it works out, obviously. But, like, why are some people okay with being put in a box and left in that box? Where others want to step outside? Like, we want to be outside. We don't want to be labeled.
What's to say that these people want to be in that box? Like maybe they just don't. Well, maybe they just don't know a way out of that box. It's like kind of being a rat trapped in a cage. It's like you're in a cage. You don't want to be in that cage.
Well,
why is it that they don't have?
I can't identify with those people. Bro.
I can't either. And so and you have to
let's just not silo this conversation to just 9 to 5.
Not going to. So
because people from 9 to 5 have purpose.
Okay, they do, but we're
charity. They found meaning in a system that doesn't.
That's how I'm hearing it too.
Yeah, I can't associate with you guys. You don't think like me, peasant.
No, it's not at all.
Like, in some,
I'm more intellectual.
No, in a lot of ways, like I envy it. Right? I think there's more happiness there in people that are satisfied with what is
true.
I think that's a happier existence.
Their meaning has been defined by this job or whatever.
That's true.
It shouldn't be that way. You should define who you are by your own experiences and not what they tell you what you should.
And I think if more people did that, I think that human society at large would be a lot further than where we are.
Yeah.
And in regards to the rat to the cage metaphor, right? Like that makes sense if you use that metaphor, but humans are smart enough to figure out how to break the cage.
That is very true.
Right?
That's why rats get tested on.
Yeah. And so, for people who are truly bothered by something, if they hate the cage, like you use your metaphor, they would be devising a scheme to get out of that cage at all times.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has a certain level of,
but they don't.
They have a certain level of pain tolerance. They have a certain tolerance to withstand that type of lifestyle before they break and crack and have to find something else. Right. And maybe not everybody has reached that.
That point or maybe they just don't live long enough to ever reach that point.
Or maybe they're not even bothered by it.
Or they're not even bothered by it because they're not even aware of it.
Damn, some rats just
it's not a bad thing.
There's something that we experience that's so small that we notice that other people don't. And then by noticing that thing, it opens up some sort of thing in our mind that just...
Bingo. It's like when you find a piece of string on your shirt and you're like, I'll just pull this off real quick. And before you know it, you rip the whole seam. It's just like that. Yeah. And you notice that one thing and it's like, why are they okay? Why are they happy with this? And you start pulling and then before you know it, you've unraveled the whole structure that you were supposed to be force fed.
But why are we force fed these structures? Dun, dun, dun.
Control.
Yeah.
Control and hate.
It's you can't enslave a free mind.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Damn.
I
We've
mean,
been
prisons
slaves.
can't
Oh,
do
shit,
anything, so,
dude.
yeah.
Slavery's been around since the inception of time. We're all slaves to this shit, to be honest.
Literal slavery has been around since the
I
inception
mean,
of
but
time.
like we're all like slaves to this mindset that we have to do. Like going back to the dark matter thing, if we all had infinite energy, we wouldn't be a slave to anybody.
Yeah, but
we'd be free.
that's
We'd
a
be a
that-
slave to dark matter, I guess, right?
I mean, well, it's the infinite. It's the dark box that produces energy. So
There's
yeah.
always
but we
like
don't even know enough about dark matter to assume that it could
'Cause
provide all of that. You know,
yeah,
dark matter is
Isn't it
inherent.
just gravity?
Dark matter is inherently undefinable.
So
we
it's like-
can't see it.
it's
We
like-
can only observe
because there's not enough research into it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's like the Tesla and the Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. Nikola had a much better, efficient energy source, but not as much money could be made from it.
Yep.
So like that's why they curbed his inventions
Mm-hmm.
and continued down the most profitable route, even though it wasn't as efficient. So it's like,
And that represents one of the great tragedies of humanity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tesla, no patents, right? Everything was open source.
Tesla,
he
the
did
car.
have patents.
The
Or,
car.
the car.
We're talking about
never
the,
mind.
Yeah,
the
he's
car-
talking about the inventor.
Gotcha.
I am too.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
The inception of Tesla, the vehicle, came from Nikola.
Came from
Tesla.
Nikola
Yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah.
And them giving up the patents was inspired by his.
He didn't give up patents to there were no patents to cars or anything. He was building like the Tesla coil, right? That comes
Sure.
from Nikola Tesla. And he believed that the development of his technology could be used to advance the human race. Einstein believed that his technology could make him a whole lot of money. Nikola Tesla died penniless, had nothing. Einstein, we know, did not, that wasn't the way that Edison, not
yeah,
Einstein.
Yeah, I was like, hold on.
Yeah, sorry, Edison.
I'm back way.
Yeah,
different
my
periods
bad.
of time.
My bad. Edison, we know, made a lot of money
he was
with
about
his
that bread.
right,
Yeah, sure.
and so it's interesting to look at how human history rewarded one despite being very, a lot less valuable.
Yeah,
Because
could
it
learn a lot.
It's almost
comes
like
down
a dark side of capitalism, really.
hate and control. You mentioned this the other day, didn't you? Like hate and control. Who were we talking to? It was just like you said money and power, and the other dude came back with hate and control. Who were we?
Billy.
Yeah, Billy. There you go. It's just different forms, but as long as that always exists, more meaningful and efficient things are probably not going to come to the surface because there's not enough money to be made from it. Which is just like, finding infinite renewable energy resources. You figured like we would put all efforts into that, but until they figure out how to monetize and make a shit ton of money from it.
But I don't think that's a human problem, a human flaw. It's a problem with capitalism
Yeah.
and
I
the way
think-
that's
But
structured.
I think that problem emerges from the environment we're in. We exist in a place with limited resources. We exist in a place with.
Do we though, or is that like
Do we have enough resources to feed everyone? Most definitely. Is there a way to motivate people to do it without paying them? No. Because at the end of the day, why am I going to use all of my time to feed someone else if I don't care about them?
But that would require us to redesign the idea of time spent alive.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And
Correct.
that's
And
probably
I don't think capitalism is the thing that we settled on. I think it's the thing that works based off how humans are designed. How
well, it
we're
works
created.
for the elites to keep control. You know what I'm saying?
Stay in power.
If it doesn't work for them anymore, they're probably gonna do something else.
Look
For
persistent.
sure, but let's look at where elites tried to mandate equality via communism. Very quickly, a capitalist system emerged inside of that communistic mandate where only the elites fed themselves and they had the literal ability to enforce that on everyone. And then people were like, why would I work 14 hours a day when this fool worked 3 hours a day and we got paid the same thing?
Yeah.
It destroys productivity. It destroys economic growth. And that's why I think capitalism is a natural extension of humanity. And all of the ugliness of capitalism is like looking into a mirror. It's the ugliness of humanity.
Interesting. To add to that, I guess there's one guy single-handedly responsible for like the most detrimental environmental impact by adding lead to gasoline. He could have used like ethanol instead, and it would have been just as impactful. But he couldn't patent ethanol, but he could patent lead. And because of that, he led to the lead use in gasoline, which is completely decimated, like the ozone layers and all that shit. So that individual, because of capitalistic greed, single individually like had the largest impact on the environment because he made that decision to make more money by putting lead in gas instead of ethanol.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
So, but we use unleaded now.
But there's still lead in that gas. Like there's still like
Traces of
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Interesting.
I think, well, maybe that, I honestly don't quote me on that, but it could be like other forms of gas that still use it. But because he made the initial decision to use that instead of ethanol, we went through that whole period of just like.
And I'm
fucking
sure
up
that
the system.
decision had ripple effects too.
Yeah. Oh,
like
for
other
sure.
technologies
Yeah.
that were
Exactly.
relying on the
Yeah.
way that, the way he created it were built,
Mhm.
and that may have had negative consequences, and
Just
so
creates
on and so
more
forth.
products dependent upon his structure because of what he initially set and what he created is gas.
So I have a question. Do you think these mistakes that we've made, it's easy to kind of go back and see what mistakes have been made through inventions and things like that, but do you think these mistakes are sort of just the cost of innovation? Like they're an inevitable part of innovating and progressing, because I feel like we're definitely far better off today than when, that was happening.
So this is like why it's hard to just demonize capitalism at large in my mind, right? Because capitalism rewards financially the more efficient solution. Now, not necessarily the best for humanity, like we saw in the Tesla Edison example, but it rewards a more efficient solution. If you can, the cliche saying, if you can build a better rat trap, right? That's what they say about if you have a better product, then you're going to sell more than the other guy. And if you look at human history, the periods of immense suffering have often led to the greatest innovations. The technology that was developed to fight World War II changed human history forever. That's why we have freeways.
Yeah. Every 5 miles, it has to be straight for a mile. Do you guys know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. To be used as a runway in the United States. It was a policy that they implemented.
Jeez.
Every 5 miles of the
Dude,
interstate.
the United
has to be-
States is so gangster on that stuff.
Yeah.
Every 5 miles that we need a runway in case the whole nation goes to war. That's crazy.
So we have a runway every 5 miles in this country.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Man, it's funny that we were so forward thinking on that, but now those freeways are jam packed all day, every day. You can't land anything on them.
But planes still do land on them.
Yeah.
They
But when you
ever seen that shit? It's wild.
when you look at it though, it's like ultimately the people with the biggest military or the individuals with the biggest military, most powerful military control the world. We've been a world power for a really long time.
Since World War II.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate reality that if you do not have a big military, you cannot secure your trade routes. If you cannot secure your trade routes, you will succumb to whatever the power vacuum in that region allows.
It's a necessary evil.
It's kind of like the guns and butter analogy. Is that an analogy? Guns and butter? Maybe that's from Baby Boy. I don't know if you guys are pop culture.
That's the Snoop Dogg joint where he does a drive-by on the dude. Tyrese.
Oh, no, this is macroeconomics. Yeah, the guns versus butter model is an example of simple production possibility frontier. It demonstrates the relationship between a nation's investment in defense and civilian goods. The guns or butter model is used generally as a simplification of national spending as a part of GDP. It's like the United States spends way more on guns than it does food for its poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And planes and boats.
Yeah.
It keeps us in power, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps the world dependent upon the U.S. for shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They got to come to us for the big, powerful guns, or at least go through us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting how dependent the world is on the United States dollar. In countries where the currency is useless,
That's exactly why the world watches our elections.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
currency.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
everything's run on the dollar.
Yeah, they move around us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, English is the international language of business, and that's because the U.S. dollar is the international currency for business.
For now. Till it changes.
Yeah, for now, we'll see how that goes.
Son, we got the guns. The Chinese folks ain't got the guns like we got.
No.
And we
Can't
got
get
They got the
clapping.
people, though.
Oh, shit, people can get clapped, boy. They got all the guns.
I love when OU goes from just like his normal self to like full Florida panhandle.
The full scope of Florida it lives inside of me. I'm embodied by urban Florida culture just because it's so fun. Even you'll find the country shit in me too.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes it slips. Honestly, that wasn't
Oh,
intentional.
I hear it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
little twang.
Yeah.
Yeah. A product of my environment, guys.
Aren't we all?
All right. Well, I think that's it. That was a very interesting episode. Definitely took a lot of turns. Make sure you guys click like, subscribe, all that normal stuff that everybody says at the end of this. We're on every major podcast outlet. Check us out on YouTube. Go to trafficpilot.com. I don't know what that has to do with the podcast that we just said, but it's a really cool program. Again, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.
And if you're a politician with good intentions, find us in the DM. We'd love to hear from you.
And when we say hear from you, we mean take your money.
Yeah, make lots of it.
All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.